Hello, how is everyone doing this beautiful Sunday afternoon? The rain is coming down and our sun has gone away. Anyway, my name is Cynthia, and today I'm going to be talking about the best way to add healing foods into your diet. So, if you're watching this live, please say hello. I'd love to talk to people. And if you're watching on the replay, just hashtag the Warriors Network or Warriors Network. You can leave the off if you want. So just a little bit about me. I'm an intuitive healer and I like to combine science and woo to help mature women heal chronic fatigue naturally. When I say mature women, I mean generally in their 40s or around that age and above. And the reason for that is that things get a lot more complicated when you start getting into perimenopause and menopause, and I've got a lot of experience in that area. So that's why I like to focus on helping these women. And so the content today, we're really just going to talk about the best way to add in the healing foods and why. So first, I just want to start with why, because why is pretty important. So when you want to make any changes to your diet, the best way to do it is to actually add something in versus removing something, because it's really hard to remove things and foods in particular. So people have really emotional attachments to food, and when you try to take that away, it causes other emotional upsets that then cause more stress on the body, and it's actually harder on the body when you do it that way. So adding in the healing foods first sort of crowds out those other foods because they take the place of, right? So if you eat a smoothie for breakfast instead of eggs and toast, you're replacing one for the other. So you don't really feel like, oh, I can't eat eggs and toast. You're just thinking, oh, I really need to get my smoothie in for the day, and I'm going to do it at breakfast time because that's the most beneficial time to do it. And so then you end up not eating the eggs and the toast, which you may or may not eat later on in the day, but it's easier when you're focused on the thing that you're wanting to bring in versus on the thing that you're wanting to get rid of. So that's why we talk about adding the healing foods in first. It's super important to do it that way. Like I said, for the emotional benefits, you don't want to add any additional stress on your body, and you really just want to focus on the things that you're trying to bring in, the things that are going to help your body, right? And we'll get to the elimination piece of it, but after the first step, which is removing environmental toxins, adding in healing foods is the very next step. So that's why I'm talking about it next. I've already done a video on removing environmental toxins, so if you have any questions about that, I would encourage you to go back and look in my feed and you'll see it listed there, or you can go to my YouTube channel at Warriors Network and it'll be listed there as well. And if you have trouble finding any of those things, feel free to just send me a message or put a comment in this live, and I will give you the link or tag you in the post, or however I'll get you the information. So removing environmental toxins is number one, adding in healing foods is number two. So let's talk about what kind, well, first let me go back. There are two things that your body really needs in order to complete all the processes it does all day, every day, and that's glucose and mineral salts. Sodium coming from the mineral salts, but it's a particular kind of sodium. It's not like table salt, it's not like Himalayan sea salt, it's not like Celtic sea salt, Himalayan salt or Celtic sea salt. It's not one of those. What you need is the sodium coming specifically from the fruits and the vegetables, right? And the main fruits that you're going to get the salts from are going to be celery and spinach. And there's a couple of other vegetables that are good too, but the main two that I utilize are spinach and celery. Spinach and celery. The second thing to keep in mind is when you're adding in these healing foods, you want to buy organic fruits and vegetables. Unless they're part of the Clean 15, there are certain vegetables that have like an outer skin or an outer coating, that sort of thing, that protects the vegetable from the herbicides and the pesticides and all the sides. And those would be, this isn't all 15 because some of them are GMOs, and so I didn't include those, but they would be avocados, pineapple, onion, frozen sweet peas, asparagus, honeydew, kiwi, cabbage, mushrooms, mangoes, sweet potato, watermelon, and carrots. So those are part of the Clean 15. So if you're buying those and you're not buying them organic, it's okay. I recognize that not everybody has the money to buy organic produce. It is a little bit more expensive, although it's still cheaper than packaged food. So if you're giving up packaged food for fresh food, the difference isn't that much, right, between non-organic and organic, right? Once you're getting rid of all that packaged food and you bring in the fresh fruits and vegetables, you're actually going to start saving money. So this is a big part of it. So organic fruits and vegetables, very important, because when they're grown in the soil, the atmosphere, all the pesticides, herbicides, all the sides, we don't want to be putting those things into our bodies. So we're literally trying to get the healing foods in, and you don't want to inadvertently add in all these toxins to your body while you're doing it. So making sure that your fruits and vegetables are very clean, washing them thoroughly with warm water. You can even take like a tiny pea-sized amount of clear, clean soap and use that to wash them with. Like fill up your sink with water and put in one little pea-sized thing of soap and do this with your vegetables and then scrub them off. And so that'll help clean off the whatever is on there, all the dirt, all the herbicides, pesticides. That will help get rid of all those things. And then rinse with fresh water before you put them on the stove or put them in the oven or however you're going to cook them. If you're eating non-organic vegetables. Even if you're eating organic vegetables, I would still say there's still a slight amount that's allowed in organic vegetables because of farms nearby that they're spraying over there and it's going to come in the air and it's going to land on the crop next to it. So even organic crops still do have minor toxins. The amount is a lot less, but still, if you can wash it off, wash it off. So that's the second thing to take into account. So I just want to know from you guys, and if you're not here live, that's totally fine. If you want to respond on the replay, that's okay too. I'd like to hear what people's favorites are. So just tell me, what are some of your favorite fruits and vegetables? My favorite fruits are like mango and watermelon. I could eat those all day, every day. If somebody just cut them up for me, I would literally just eat those all day, every day. And then my vegetables are like tomatoes and cucumbers. I know a tomato is a fruit, but I put it in the vegetable category because it's actually not very sweet, right? And so for me, veggies are more about like savory and fruits are more about sweet. So when we're talking about this balance of glucose and sodium, I really think of like the fruit as the glucose and the veggies as the sodium. It's not always that way, and they have both in them, but the majority of fruits have more glucose than sodium, and the majority of veggies have more sodium than glucose, right? I get that it's not 100%. So keeping a good balance of that is really, really important for your brain function, right? If you love fruit and you just eat fruit all day long, your brain isn't going to get the electrolytes and the sodium that it needs to do its functions. So you need to really make sure that you get in your greens, you get in your green veggies so that you can have that good balance in your body. Okay, so number 3, when you start your morning off, the best way that you can start your morning off with an addition, this is something that you're probably not already doing, although you might be, is starting your morning off with lemon water. I can't stress enough the importance of having clean water. If you're drinking filtered tap water, stop. Even if you're filtering your tap water, the only way you can be sure that it's actually clean is if you send that filtered water directly to be tested and then make sure it's clean. But when you do that, don't just get a regular water test. Get a test that tests for all the things like PFAS and lead and chlorine and fluoride and all the things, right? Because some standard water tests don't test for everything, particularly PFAS, which are really, really harmful. So if you're going to test your water to make sure that filtering it is okay, do a very thorough test. Otherwise, I would suggest sticking with spring water. Buy your spring water in a glass bottle, probably not plastic. I order mine from Alhambra, and it's actually Mountain Valley spring water, and it comes in a giant 5-gallon glass bottle. And so that I'm not adding, like, I don't want to add plastic to the world. So I prefer to use glass because it's much easier to recycle. And in this case, I don't have to recycle it. They come and take the bottles and then they deliver new bottles. And then, you know, it's recycled in the way they're used because they go clean them and then they refill them. And then I'm sure at some point they stop cleaning them and they recycle them because there's been too many, I don't know. Uh, so that's one way to do it. Or you can just buy Mountain Valley spring water in a green glass bottle from the grocery store. Um, there are a couple of other brands, but the Mountain Valley spring water is really the one that I recommend. I think Fiji is also another one, although it does come in a plastic bottle. Fiji is another one that's really clean water. So again, like I said, I've done many videos on water and how much trouble it can cause if you're drinking the wrong kind of water, particularly filtered tap water. So if that's what you're drinking, please stop. Unless you've had it thoroughly tested and you know that it's great water. So you're going to want to do 16 ounces of water with lemon juice. Just cut a lemon in half, squeeze half the lemon into the water. So half a lemon per 16 ounces of water. And that's what you're going to drink first thing in the morning. And then you're going to wait a half hour. And then the second thing that you would want to add in is celery juice. So celery juice is full of sodium cluster salts, which are really, really helpful in doing three main things. And all three of them are what most people need to heal chronic fatigue. So one, it's going to rebuild your hydrochloric acid so that your stomach can break down protein. Most people's stomachs are no longer producing enough hydrochloric acid, and so the proteins aren't getting broken down, and then they sit in your gut, and then they kind of rot. And then that's where you get a lot of issues. You can get issues with your teeth, you can get bad breath, but then you can also feed the viruses that are living in there, and you can get a lot of the issues that we talk about, like neurological issues that are causing our neurological chronic fatigue. So the second thing that it does it increases and strengthens your bile to break down fats and kill off the pathogens. So when you have too much fat in your liver can't do its job properly, and so it can't detox well, and it starts creating bile, but it doesn't have enough bile to break down everything because it's no longer working at 100% because it's too clogged up with fat. So the celery juice really helps to increase and strengthen your bile so that it can break down the fat even better. And then the third thing it does is it restores your central nervous system by removing old toxins and poisons. And this can be stuff like old pharmaceuticals that you took, like, you know, any medication that's not over the counter, or even that's over the counter. But even stuff like antibiotics are stored in there that it can help remove. So those are two major things that if you added those into your morning every morning, you would really, really go a long way towards helping your liver detox your body, because your liver is detoxing all night long while you're asleep because you're not eating anything, you're not putting anything new in, so it has a little bit of a break and it can start clearing things out. And then when you wake up first thing in the morning, if you immediately put fat into your diet, it'll stop detoxing and it'll start producing bile to start breaking down the fats. So what you want to do is give your liver extra time where it's not producing, where it doesn't have to produce the bile and it can continue to detox. So if you normally wake up and eat at like 8 a.m. and now you don't eat any fat until noon, then your body has like an extra 4 hours to keep detoxing and cleaning house, right? So I have another question for you guys. What is one of your favorite meals? And again, if you're not here live, that's fine. Just put it in the comments. I'd love to see, even on the replay, because I like to see what people are eating, because I like to see how I can create a really healthy meal that's similar to what they love. I just made something that I really, really love is garlic noodles. And I never eat them because they don't have a healthy version anywhere. But I actually got millet pasta. There's only one ingredient. It's just made from millet. And I got a garlic infused oil. And I don't typically cook with oil because I try to stay fat free all the time. But in this case, I really, really wanted to find something that was, you know, still medical medium friendly as long as I didn't put too much oil in it. And it was a good oil. So I utilized that, and then I put fresh garlic in it, and then I steamed, or I sauteed some asparagus in the garlic and some onion, and then I put the asparagus into the pasta. And so that was super delicious. Like, it's the first time I've ever made it, and I was so happy to have one of my favorite meals in a healthy version that I can actually eat that's actually healing, because the asparagus is really healing, the garlic is really healing. So those two things made it really good. The millet is more of a filler food, so but it's not gonna feed the viruses or the bacteria. So I'm okay with having it as a filler food when it's like one of my favorite meals. If I want to incorporate it, once a month or twice a month or something like that, I'm okay with that for dinner time. It's not something I would eat at breakfast, or probably not even at lunch, just because it's too much effort, and I tend to be super simple in my meal choices just because I don't like to cook. So anyway, drop in the comments what one of your favorite meals are. I would like to know. Okay, so two other things that you can do after you've done your lemon water, and then you've waited half an hour, and then you've done your celery juice, and then wait at least another half hour before you're done. Oh, one thing I didn't mention with the celery juice, it's best to work your way up to 16 ounces. If you have never had celery juice before, or if you have chronic fatigue or neurological fatigue, you might want to start at a smaller amount. You might start at 4 ounces and then work your way up 2 ounces at a time. Or some people can start at 8 ounces. It really depends on how many toxins you have in your body, because it will push things out, right? It will get things moving. So if you're constipated at all, it will get things moving. So just keep that in mind. It's best not to do it before you're about to leave the house. If you've never had it before and you don't know how it's going to affect you, you want to be near a bathroom when you do it the first time. So on the weekend, when you don't have anywhere to go, perfect time to do it. And then, like I said, if you do 4 ounces and you don't feel anything at all, then increase it to 6. If you do that and you don't feel anything at all, increase it to 8. Keep going until you get to 16 ounces, because that's about the amount that you need for the celery juice to make it to all the places in your body that it needs to go. If you do less than that, it doesn't typically reach the spots where it's really, really needed. So 16 ounces is sort of like the minimum, really useful amount daily. And then you can work your way up to 32 ounces or more. I don't think there's a maximum, but I don't think anybody would want to drink more than, I don't know, 64 ounces. I can't imagine anybody drinking more than that. So that's probably, I think over 64 ounces is not going to do any additional good, right? Like 64 ounces is probably the limit. So let's go back. After the celery juice, you're going to wait 30 minutes before you add anything else in. And so the best thing to add in for breakfast is going to be fruit, because your body needs glucose. That's like the main energy source for your body is glucose. And so you want to get as much glucose in right away as you can. So fruit for breakfast. It could be a smoothie. It could be a banana and an apple. It could be applesauce with slices of banana or blueberries in it, or even raspberries. I really like to have applesauce with like a fruit on top, just because it's delicious and it's not quite as boring, and you can sort of always make it different. The medical medium even has like what he calls a fruit cereal, where he actually makes banana milk. So he'll blend bananas and a little bit of water together to make like a milk, and then you pour that over fruits, and basically eat it like cereal. I've never actually done it because it sounds like a lot of work to me when I could just eat a banana and an apple and that would make me perfectly happy. So, but I imagine people who love cereal would like it. So, and yeah, it's probably not a lot of effort to blend up a banana and some water. Anyway, so fruit. When you're doing your smoothies, don't add any type of fat in it. Don't add any peanut butter. Don't add any almond butter. Don't add any sunflower butter. Don't add any protein powders. Even vegan protein powders, don't add those. They're not helpful, and they're probably part of the problem. Especially if there's if there's whey in there, like it's a non-vegan protein powder, you definitely don't want that. So just keep it fruits and vegetables. So you can do, another one that I do a lot is mangoes, spinach, and cucumber, and just a little bit of water. That one is really, really good for additional energy in the morning. Like if you wake up and you just feel like you're dragging, that smoothie is really delicious, and it really gives me a lot of energy. The other thing that's great to do is the heavy metal detox smoothie from the Medical Medium. It is mainly wild blueberries with some herbs. So, well, there's bananas and orange juice, fresh squeezed orange juice, and then the blueberries. But then on top of the blueberries, there's like Atlantic dulse and spirulina and barley grass juice powder, um, and cilantro. Those things are what captures the heavy metals and brings them out of your body. So they're more obscure ingredients, but they're also the most important ingredients. So that smoothie is delicious. It tastes just like blueberries. If you like blueberries, it's delicious. And it will really help you get the metals, the heavy metals out of your body, which is what causes a lot of our problems with chronic fatigue. And then after breakfast, like I said, at lunchtime, you can add some fat in, maybe have some avocado or a little bit of oil. Like if you want to make a salad dressing that has like a teaspoon of oil in it, avocado oil or coconut oil, that would be okay. But I generally, like on my salads, I try to eat greens at lunchtime because that's the best time for me to get my greens in other than a smoothie. Um, for my salads, I generally just use lemon juice. I just squeeze lemon juice on the top. Or sometimes I'll add in mandarins and like squeeze some of the mandarins when I put them on there just so there's a little bit of liquid to the salad because it's hard to eat lettuce when there's no liquid involved. It's just a little bit too dry and I feel like it just takes longer to chew and eat. So I do like a little bit of juice on my salad. It's not the same as dressing. I totally recognize that. One thing I do, if I want something that feels more like dressing to me, I will blend up ripe mango. Just, you don't even need water. You can literally just stick ripe mango in a blender and blend it. And then you can add in a little bit of lemon juice if you want, or maybe some herbs, maybe some oregano or some thyme or something like that if you wanted to give it a little bit of flavor other than the mango. But that makes a really good salad dressing that will actually like sort of stick to your lettuce. And the lemon actually is quite salty, so if you feel like you're craving salt, lemon is actually a really good thing to add to your salad. So one of those options would be good for lunch. But again, when you're first starting out, it's best to try and just add the healing things in. So the more days that you can have salad for lunch, the better. You might not do it every single day, but if you just think to yourself in your head like, "Oh, salad for lunch would be really good," that's what could really help my body, and then just try and do it when you can. And then for dinner, you're just going to want to focus on vegetables. So we focused on fruits in the morning, and then for lunch and dinner time, you want to really focus on the vegetables and sort of make them the star of the show. So for people who aren't vegetarian or vegan, what I would suggest doing is finding vegetarian dishes that sound good to you and then just adding meat. So that's what I do. The reason for it is because when you find a dish like that, the vegetables are the star of the show and the meat is just like an addition. So you might have like, one chicken breast and you might chop it up into little pieces and that can be like 3 or 4 servings, right? So versus having like a whole chicken breast for dinner because you don't even really need that much. But if you can just have less meat and more vegetables, that'll be really helpful for your body because the meat has, even the lowest fat meat still has a lot of fat. And so the more fat you have in your body, the harder it is for your liver to detox. So the idea is to just kind of clean that up and let your blood get a little bit thinner and cleaner. And for me, I notice it, like I get really dark circles under my eyes when my blood is really thick and full of toxins. So when I do my cleanses, I'll see it. It gets pretty bad where it's pretty dark because I can tell it's like coming out of my body and roaming around my blood. Usually by day 9, it's pretty clear and you can't see my dark circles anymore. But it comes back when I start eating any any level of fat. That's just how my body works. I just have a lot of toxins that have built up over the years that I'm removing. So it could be different for you, but that's sort of a key indicator, right? That you've got a lot of stuff built up in there. So just focusing on vegetarian or vegan dishes for dinner, and then adding a little bit of meat, so that the vegetables are really taking up 85% of the plate, and the other 15% is your meat. so you can still get your meat in, but just not overdo it with the fat, is a really great way to do it. So those are the main steps to take to add more healing foods into your day. And if you just start there, before you start taking anything at all out, just start there. Just try and focus on the things that you want to bring in, and it will gradually crowd out the things that aren't so helpful for you. And it'll happen naturally over time. You won't necessarily have to just start, like just be really strict with yourself and strong and be like, I'm not eating that, because sometimes that backfires. And like I said, it can have a lot of emotional upheaval in it as well when you do that, because your body, you're eating that for a reason, right? There's usually an emotional connection to that food. It's usually like, oh, I feel really stressed out and this thing is gonna make me feel comforted. So that's why a lot of us eat comfort foods. I know my comfort food is potatoes. Like, I love all forms of potatoes, but now instead of like going and buying some french fries from like the local fast food shop, now I literally just cut up potatoes and throw them in the air fryer. So there's a healthy way to do most things. I won't say all dishes can be made healthy, because I just don't think that's true. There are probably some dishes that you just can't make healthy. Um, but the majority of dishes you really can. Like I said, tacos are my favorite meal, and instead of using a tortilla, because I don't want to use the wheat, gluten-free tortillas suck. I don't want to use corn. So what I've used in the past, I don't have any right now, but when I'm growing broccoli in my garden, I will use broccoli leaves because they're giant and they're super thick and they don't break on you like gluten-free tortillas where like everything just falls out the bottom. And I also use cabbage leaves, which are also very nice and thick and will hold up to whatever you've got in there. I use ground turkey at dinner because I still do eat meat, so I'll just try and strain the fat out of it after I cook it instead of just letting it sit in that. But um, my mom cooks it most of the time now that she lives here, and so I'm generally not the one making it. So at dinner time, I do get some fat in through that, and then I'll sometimes add some avocado. I do love avocado, so I'm not fat free all the time. I'm fat free during cleanses, and I try to keep the fat in the latter part of my day. So I don't eat any fat for breakfast, or most days not for lunch either. Although some days I do. It depends on the day, what's going on, how busy I am, where I'm at. If I'm out and about with my family and they're all eating somewhere, um, I tend to eat fat more when I'm out and about, just because it's really difficult to find medical medium foods. I think it would be amazing if somebody created a medical medium restaurant. So if you're out there and you're looking into creating it, I'm so happy, and please create one near me in California. Okay, so that's about it. Those are my six things. I'll run through them one more time just to give you a quick overview. So we talked about why, that was the first one, and then organic fruits and vegetables. So either make sure they're organic or make sure they're part of the Clean 15, and then start your morning off with lemon water, and then do your celery juice, and then have some type of fruit for breakfast. And then focus on veggies for lunch and dinner, and that's the best, easiest way to add healing foods into your day. And it will get you really far. If you're doing like the opposite of all those things, or if you're doing none of those things now, you'll see a very big difference just in doing this. Just in this is called the medical medium morning cleanse. So if you do just this, you'll notice a big difference in your health if you're not doing any of it right now. So if you're struggling with chronic fatigue, I highly encourage you to start doing this morning routine, this morning cleanse, just to give your liver a break and let it detox. So all this information, again, is medical medium information. It's free. It's in the books. He's got 8 of them. If you can't afford the book, you can go to the library and get it, like he always says. Or you can just follow me on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. I put a lot of medical medium information out as it relates to my own experience in particular, because, well, I think it makes more sense to people when it comes from my experience versus just hearing the medical medium talk about all the things. Although one thing that really, really helped me in the beginning was reading the books and just seeing that he understood what was really happening with me in my body. Because at that point, nobody understood what was happening with me in my body. Nobody could explain it. And I had been to doctor after doctor after doctor, and I never got an explanation as to what was happening with me. None of the doctors could explain it. They didn't understand it. Nothing. And when I read his very first book, Medical Medium, I knew that he understood what was going on inside my body, and I felt the truth of it. And part of the reason is because I had already been eating a very similar diet, because I had already cut out all those things, because I had a crazy food allergy where my throat was closing up, and so I had to do an elimination diet in order to not die. Uh, so in doing that elimination diet, I actually got to a place where I was eating very similar to what the medical medium says to eat. So when I read his first book, I recognized it as truth in my body. And I'm a very like feeling person. I'm very intuitive. I do psychic readings for anyone who's interested. We do intuitive health readings where I can literally feel what's going on in your body, and by feeling it in my body, I can just connect to you, and then I can feel your energy in my body. So that's one way that I can help. If you're struggling and you're sort of confused and you need a little bit of clarity on what's happening, I'm here. I can do those. It's just a 60-minute reading. It's $111. And you can just book it through a calendar. You don't even have to call me or anything. You can just use the link. It's www.calendly.com, calendly.com /The Warriors Network. And that'll take you to my calendar so you can schedule a reading there if you want. And then I also have a 90-day chronic health program right now where I will take you through the 5 major steps of healing, which are eliminating environmental toxins, adding in healing foods that we just talked about, removing troublemaker foods, which comes next, adding in clean supplements, and then cleansing your body. So in that 90 days, we meet once a week, one-on-one, through Zoom or over the phone, and I walk you through each one of these 5 steps and give you specific advice that's based on your symptoms and sort of your lifestyle and the foods that you like to eat and all the things. And then I do a cleanse with you each month. So every 30 days, we'll do one cleanse and get you moving towards your healing space, right? It's a journey, and it takes a while to get there, but in 90 days you should be able to make some really great headway, provided you do the things that I tell you to do. So that's my 90-day chronic health program, and that is $2,222 right now for the full 3 months. And then right now for the month of March, I actually have a bonus going on where you can get Voxer access during the week, Monday through Friday, like normal business hours, 8 to 5, with me, which means that you don't have to wait for our weekly calls. You can literally just send me your questions every day, and I will answer them in the evenings, Monday through Friday. And then I don't typically answer them on the weekends, but I will in the evenings on Monday through Friday. And that's normally a $1,111 value, and I'm giving it away for free for the month of March. So if you sign up for your 90-day chronic health program in the month of March, you will receive that as well. And if you wanted to pay in payments for the 90-day chronic health program, it's $777 a month. And you just pay for the first month up front, and then we do our work, and then you pay for the second month, and we do our work, and so on. So that's basically it for me today. If this video was helpful for you, please, please, please share it with others. It could help. There are so many people out there dealing with chronic fatigue right now, and I really just want to be useful to those people and help them get through this and get back to health. And so if you know anyone who could use this information, please share it with them. And then some ways you connect with me, I already mentioned. You can connect with me on Instagram. My handle is Serenity Warrior Mama, or you can go to my Facebook group. If you're seeing the full video, this is where I'm doing the live, is in my Warriors Network Facebook group. So, but if you're seeing just a portion of it, it's probably, you probably need to go look for it. So it's just called the Warriors Network. If you go to facebook.com/groups/the Warriors Network, you'll see it. And then I also have a YouTube channel where I actually store all of these live videos for you so you can watch them later on the replay. And that's just youtube.com/@Warriors Network. And that'll take you to my YouTube channel and you can watch all the live videos there. So have a fantastic day, and remember, add in those healing foods and you will automatically push out all the unhelpful foods. And happy healing. Bye.